Forgive me for staying on this topic of Joe Manchin, but I think it's very important. Joe Manchin has made it clear that his priority, above everything else, is getting reelected. He's hiding behind cowardly language about bipartisanship, but he's made it clear that that is his priority. Unfortunately for Joe Manchin, he's not all that smart, because the truth is that in 2024, in a heavily Republican state of West Virginia, where the power control of the Senate will be up for grabs, the Republicans will back a strong Republican against Joe Manchin. Not because they necessarily dislike Joe Manchin, but because they have to get that seat in the red column. And that strong Republican in a presidential year will probably win. In other words, Joe Manchin thinks he's trying to help himself get reelected, and that isn't going to work. However, there is another option for Joe Manchin, and this is really the frightening one. If Joe Manchin really is narrowly focused on getting reelected, as when you peel everything else away, I think that is what is going on here, his only option is to switch parties. And if he switches parties, Mitch McConnell becomes majority leader. And instead of trying to pass Biden's legislation, we have investigations into things like, did Kamala Harris fund Black Lives Matter terrorist groups? Did Hunter Biden try to use his influence to bribe the president of Ukraine to sabotage the Trump campaign? Is Joe Biden a Chinese spy? I mean, just the craziness that comes out of the cult wing of the Republican Party. And the Republicans have a lot to offer Joe Manchin. Mitch McConnell can make sure he doesn't have a Republican primary challenger, that he is well-funded. He can make him chair of any committee that Manchin wants. So I am concerned that the next logical step for Joe Manchin is to switch parties. And if that happens, the country will be devastated, and Joe Manchin will have a uniquely terrible name in the history of the collapse of democracy in the United States.